Welcome to Mic'd Up Sports, the show that gives people in sports an unfiltered platform to share their stories. If you want to help us tell more stories, check us out at patreon.com/tsbtelevision, paypal.me/tsbtelevision, or on Cash App at tsbtelevision. Thanks for joining us and enjoy the show. Hello again, everyone. We hope you enjoyed your summer break, whatever you did. It was a pretty busy summer for one of our returning guests who won a kickball league championship and also took up a few games at the local YWCA. And LaShayla Wright-Ponder coming back because another event in what was a pretty loaded summer was going on a camping trip, a basketball camping trip out in Germany. And then shortly after that, she got called up, and you will see her back overseas, this time in Sweden. So, LaShayla, I know we were trying to put this together. Thanks for coming back on. But I remember you were a little, I don't want to say agitated, but you were getting a little nervous about trying to find a place to play. So if you don't mind me talking about that, just how relieved were you when you got the call from your agent that you were going to go play in Sweden, and after weeks and months of waiting, you get another chance to play professional basketball?
It was a relief because I'm like, okay, I could start actually focusing on packing and getting my stuff together, getting all my appointments in, such as doctors, dentists, the normal things you do when you're home. And I was just relieved because I was like, okay, I didn't know what else to do. So I was very relieved about just getting signed. I said, you know what, yes. Look, I Googled the team. I Googled everything about what they did last year, who the coaches was. I had a 3-way phone call with the coach, me and my agent. We talked about everything, and it feels like a right fit. So I was very relieved.
And so, if you don't mind, what is this league you're going to play for? And I don't know how much you know about it yet, but how does it differ from Germany, where you made your last visit last season?
It's actually the top league. So Germany and Serbia was the top league. Germany was the second league, and now this is the top league in Sweden. So I'm going back to play in the top league that I played in when I played in Serbia. I looked at the team. I feel like it's more competitive where it was when I was in Germany and Serbia, because just the way I was looking at the teams, and I've been doing like YouTube, looking at different teams and who I'll be playing against, potentially playing against, looking at the girls, their height and all that stuff. So I feel like this is going to be probably my most competitive league, or just probably similar to Serbia, because Serbia was the top league. So I feel like I did my research, looking at the teams, looking at the players, looking at the new coach, had a conversation with her. And so I'm pretty excited because I'm going from another top league to another top league. Serbia was top league, and then now this is another top league. So.
Well, Sweden, I don't know a whole lot about their basketball history, but I do know that is where Amanda Zowie B, formerly of the Gophers and now a longtime WNBA vet, that's where she cut her teeth. I don't know if you'll follow her path, but getting a chance to play in the top league again, because I remember the Serbia experience, and you kind of skimmed over it, but you made it clear it wasn't your most favorite overseas trip that you've made. So you get another chance, and who knows what will happen when you get there, but to have an opportunity to play in a top league, how do you think that symbolizes your trajectory?
It really humbled me a lot. Even though I've always been humble, but it made me realize, okay, now a second league is hard too, depending on where you go, but so is the top league. So it made me realize, like, okay, always stay ready. I'm ready because I've been practicing, I've been working out. I haven't stopped doing that. So it helped me just get more, when I say focus, because it's not like it's a different league. It is a different league, but it's still the top league like it was in Serbia, but it's a different country now. So it kind of helped me do a little more research and like deeper than I did when I did Serbia and I did Germany. So It really helped me just get more looking at things like the laws over there, what you can and can't do. Like, for example, in Germany, you can't, if you don't recycle, you get in trouble for that, or like a fine or something like that. So I looked at little things like that, like the history behind Sweden, the Sweden basketball, and I'm looking up, so they were pretty decent back then. So I've been looking at everything from A to Z by Sweden. And one thing I am really nervous about is the winter. Even though Minnesota is known to have bizarre winter, but Sweden, I've heard that it's the cold would cut you through the skin. But I don't know how true that is. But I'm prepared, and I've been packing my bag. I packed like all my sweatshirts, all my jogging pants, all my coats, and my gloves. So I really prepare for the winter, I believe, and I got winter boots, and so it's stuff like that. The basketball, they always say go down there and just play ball like you've been playing. So that aspect, yes, is going to be a little bit more. It's going to be a lot more competitive, I'm sure. But it's always, they always say stay ready, and I believe I'm ready. So.
Well, you spent the summer staying loose between two sports, actually, but I know a lot of my friends who play professionally, usually they last about a year and then they move on to other things. Sometimes it's the culture difference, other factors involved, but you were steadfast. This is something you wanted to continue doing, because I know you've told me you want to make the WNBA someday, and I'm not a scout there, so I can't tell you if that's viable or not, but that's not my place to say. But what was the journey like, having to go through the ups and downs? Because it sounded like last year you locked in, you knew right away, here's where I'm going to go, and now you had to play this waiting game. And as we got closer to season starting, I think they start around fall.
So October, from what I was looking at, our first game was October 8th. And I didn't tell you that, but between 8th and the 15th, and our players are still coming from their hometown, flying in. So it's the waiting game actually, like, it caused me to like realize, okay, it's part of the game. Like, just because my first year coming out of college, I was getting all these offers and getting all these, that's a rookie season. So a lot of players get that, many teams that want a player to come there, but had to realize, like, teams know that where I played and how I dominated. So now it's time to, now we're not going to, and I could be wrong, but from how I see it, was the waiting game was good, because God was telling me, like, okay, we're waiting, making you wait for a reason, because you don't know, God knowing my heart, knowing that I didn't want to stay at the second level. Second level, it was more keep climbing up, and the more you climb up, the more you're gonna have to wait, because more competition and more teams expect out of a player, and what they look for is going up higher and higher. So it makes sense why I was waiting, because the top leagues, actually top leagues, do sign players either right away or late, but it depends on the player. Like, even if you are a high caliber player coming out of college or high school, it depends on, the team and what they expect, because a lot of higher teams actually sign. They take their time on players. They look at all their film, they look at all their highlights, the full games, and they want to make sure they're going to trust this player, knowing she's going to come and help the team. So that's probably why I also thought that I was waiting too. And I knew my agent was doing his job. We talked, like, often. So I felt like, he was doing his job, but people got to realize agents don't make the final say. All your agent can do is put your name out there and, say she's this type of player, but it's the teams that make the final say and say, oh, we're gonna take this player. So the waiting game, it could have been different reasons why I was waiting so long and why I wasn't getting much, because I did agree with my agent that I'm gonna stay home for the summer. It was a fantastic summer, I just thought it was kind of odd that teams decide to, like, it was just nobody really was reaching out. That was my biggest thing, but I would never know why. I'm just guessing that's probably, maybe because teams are, the market is really getting very, it's getting harder and harder. Players are getting better. Players are performing better. So it's different factors of why players wait on to get signed and stuff. So in my case, I would never know why I got signed late or got signed when I did. So it's different factors. So, it was good for me that I was waiting because my summer was great. I ref almost every weekend, AAU, men's league. Every weekend I was home. Then I went to basketball camps working with Crystal Flint. Shout out to Crystal, girl. I love you, girl. Crystal Flint.
One of your old teammates
Yeah.
helped out too. Crystal joined the Sanneh Foundation,
Yeah.
and what I mentioned, or through an old teammate of yours in Lele, you probably
Yeah.
remember her when I mentioned, oh yes, LaShayla's there, and her face lit up. So
Yeah.
your name is getting around
Yeah,
in these
yeah.
parts. I have a feeling you're going to have no trouble finding work whenever you decide to transition away from basketball. But
Yeah.
I interrupted. Keep going.
No, yeah, it's okay. Lele actually was a former. I played against her in high school. She played on the same AAU team as me, Minnesota Stars. We played different high schools. She played at Hopkins. I played at Bloomington Kennedy. So yeah, it was great seeing her face again. Working with her, it's just been a blessing. I mean, my summer was probably the best summer I probably ever had because it changed the way, like, I mean, I was around the game the whole entire summer. I was around, it wasn't like I just shifted off and did something else. I was around the game, ref and basketball. I mean, that was a blessing. Now I miss doing that. Doing camps. Camps was the biggest thing for me because you see, I was working with the youth. Like, these kids were really looking up to me, like, oh, you're a professional basketball player, and and they really was looking up to me. It was a blessing being with them, like from Monday through Friday, 9 to 3, I was doing camp. So I was staying busy. I got my mind off of basketball a little bit, like playing, but I really stayed close to the game. So
See, I'm not sure if that's the best way to get your mind off basketball is to run camps, but
yeah.
I get what you're saying, and it goes back to something I've mentioned when I cover high school games now. I've often encouraged players, or I'll give them props when they play more than one sport, just so that you can do something for fun. You don't have to worry about, okay, how is this going to affect my rankings or college offers? Like, no, go do something that doesn't involve playing.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you can run the risk of burnout.
Yeah.
Although in your case, I don't think you are capable of burning out. You eat, sleep, and breathe basketball, as
Yeah.
I've discovered
Yeah.
this summer. But so the camps, that was one reason why I wanted to get in touch with you and do a follow-up. So you helped out with Crystal and the Sanneh Foundation camps there, and I don't know if that led to this 2-week gig in Germany, but how did you go from running camps here, which a lot of people like yourself do, to getting the chance to run a camp in Germany? I saw you made local news. Like,
Yeah.
how did that happen, and how excited were you knowing that, hey, I'm going to get a chance to show the next generation of people what basketball is all about, and in the process just highlight how global this game is, how it brings people together?
So literally, one day I was on Instagram, and I kept seeing a program, basketball ministry called New Release Basketball, and I kept seeing them on my little highlight reels or highlight things on Instagram, and one day I just got a random inbox or DM from the owner over there, or the team manager, and he just wrote a paragraph saying, we're looking for local players or local players and also international players to come over and help us do camps. And I just thought, at first I thought it was just kind of like, the way the message was set up, I was kind of like, too good to be true. So I looked into it. I told my agent about it. I asked people that used to be with the New Release Basketball, and they were like, it's legit. They just look at, they find random players in the world. I said, wow, they found me, So they found me. I talked to, his name was Tim. Shout out to Tim, you watching this. Tim, he reached out to me and was like, we're looking for players. I said, let me look into it, because I thought it was kind of odd, because they were paying for my flights, they were paying for my meals, they paid for, literally almost everything. That sounds like a scholarship, or that sounds like a professional contract. So I'm like, is this professional basketball? And I'm like, no, it's something else. So I looked more into it, and it was like, they conduct basketball ministries for just people that either still playing, people coming out of college, so different people. And at all people in the world, me and other people that I did the camp with, they were chosen too, and they have different stories. So it's just these random people that they get into contact with to ask for. So I end up, accepting it. Told my agent about it, saying I'll be gone for 2 weeks. July 28th to August 14th was 2 weeks of basketball over in Germany. The first week was in Munich, Germany. The second week was in Freiburg, Germany, if I'm saying that correctly. And then the last few days we were in Berlin, and then we were in Leipzig. Those last 2 days we were doing just sightseeing. I've seen the Berlin Wall. I've seen the murder of Jews, different churches, castles. It was so beautiful. But going back to the camps, we would conduct camps in like a gym over in random gym we would have over in the Munich, and we would not only just have basketball camps at these gyms, but we would tell these kids, how the goodness of God, how He works, and we would spread His love, and a lot of these kids had a lot of questions about God, and we didn't ever force anything on them, but it was more of a basketball type ministry, gossip type organization. So it was good. Like kids, we had prayer groups. It was more than just basketball. So it was a blessing.
How surreal was it to go back to Germany, and were you able to do some things that maybe you couldn't do while you were playing over there? It sounds like you did some sightseeing already, and I know you did the first time, but in your wildest dreams, did you ever think, I'm going to go and run a camp at a place where I played professionally just a few months earlier?
No, literally, I would never thought. I was so focused on just finishing my summer, conducting basketball camps while I was here. I just got a random DM. It was it's almost like God was like, okay, you're doing camps in Minnesota. Okay, I'm going to see if I'm going to push you to doing camps over in, another country. So it's been a blessing. It changed my life perspective of like, okay, life after basketball, you're nervous about that, but you could do this. Like when you get done playing, I always thought about after I get done playing, I'm going to be that cop. I want to be a homicide detective, but I'm also going to do camp or coaching on the side too. So I'm already preparing for what I want to do after life. So it helped me change the aspect of like just life after basketball. I mean, when I'm done, like completely done. So it was a blessing. The kids loved me. They wanted pictures and, all types of stuff, videos, my Instagram, Facebook, and they all wanted to reach out whenever I played again. And I actually told them I got signed with Sweden. So the kids already know that. So it was a blessing seeing the kids and helping them, realize like, why do you think you're here? By grace of God, He loves you, He cares for you. And, it wasn't just, oh, I'm gonna go down there and do basketball camps. No, we were there to also teach about the love of God and Jesus and stuff. And, it touched their hearts. And I believe it touched a lot of the kids' hearts. And a lot of kids had questions about it, but it was a good environment, definitely experience for me to help the kids realize like, God is with you, man. Why you think you're on the court right now? Why you think you're healthy? And we try to explain that to them, and most of them understood. So it was more than just basketball. So.
How did you bridge the language gap? Because I'm guessing the kids you worked with, English likely not their first language, and I watched the video you sent me when a local German television news station went out and covered this event, and they had to get a translator, so I couldn't hear everything you were saying over that. Now I understand why, because again, English is not their first language. How did you bridge that gap, and what ways or what were some tricks that you learned to help relay what you were trying to instruct to those young kids out there who perhaps will one day follow your path?
Yeah. Oh, I didn't even mention the part that I actually the team that I went down there with, like the other campers, instructor. We actually play as a team against local teams. So it was the English was, they spoke their German, but a lot of German people understand English. A lot of them speak English. So I didn't have to really learn German. It was more that the kids, when we were up there doing our testimonies, or we were up there doing like, telling our stories behind basketball, it would be a translator standing right next to us. Every time we say like 2 words, they would translate it. Or if we do a sentence, they would translate it. So it was a lot of translating for the kids. So it wasn't just for us. It was the people that we were working with understood English, but a lot of the kids, it was make sure people don't understand English. A lot of people that understand English and German, but then some kids, so it was a mixture. Some kids just understand German. So it was one translator next to us just talking, and every time we talked, he would translate it. So it was pretty, it was a lot on the translator, but he said he understood it. He get why we had to do it. So he understood it really well. But yeah, when I was down there as well, we played against some local teams, even a men's team. We end up, our record was I think 2-1 if I can remember. It was 2-1 and
So a little bit of pride, a little bit
Yeah.
of bragging rights there, going
we
2-1
almost
against
beat
the
the
men's
men.
team.
We almost beat the men, but
Well, you
know.
went 2-1, you said, though,
Yeah.
right? So you did get a couple on them.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. You won the best of 3.
Yeah. So it was actually a good experience playing. Actually, just not down and doing camps, but we were able to play against some local teams, and during the interview, the person that asked me the questions, he said it was going to be translated to German. It won't be in English, but they knew what they said, that how they did it was when I did the interview, they went back, edited and went and put it in German. So when you guys hear the interview, you guys gonna see that, or the questions, you guys gonna see that he spoke in German, because the people in Germany gotta understand German. So it was back and forth. So yeah.
Now, you were there as part of this camp/exhibition because I saw you and a few other players from around the country gathered. So you've already covered this a bit, but I'm just curious, since you got to run camps throughout the summer, what's the difference between running a camp in Germany versus running one of the basketball camps that you did with Crystal and Lele and the others with the Sanneh Foundation?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. I was just going to get to that. So, difference between Germany camp and Minnesota camp was literally like, and I got to be honest, the kids were much more like listeners. Like Minnesota camp, like we were doing camps, like some of the kids, we tell them not to dribble the ball while we're talking, or, don't behave this way. And like, but as far as skill set, it was literally the same. But when it came to like not dribbling the ball or not talking to other, campers while we're talking, or the kids in Europe were really like disciplined. They knew to be on, like, for example, if the camp started at 9 a.m., they're in the gym at 8 a.m. Like, they're not going to be a minute late. Like, we have to start on time. As far as the basketball, I mean, the skill set, I will say, is pretty much the same. Different organization, like the one in Germany, we would have like a list of stuff to do, like by paper, and we would go by that. There was not a minute late. If we got to do stretching from 9 to 9:30, it will be, stretching. That's the time we're done. Then by 9:30, we're doing stations. So it was very laid out over in Europe. Like, it was not a minute late. Versus Minnesota, we had a layout of what to do, but it was kind of hard to go by that, because some kids would come from, I don't know, like summer school, or like come from different areas. It had to be a little late. So it wasn't much different. Only thing is, in Europe, if you're saying we're gonna do camps at 9 o'clock, you got to be there. But like, they don't play about it. You cannot be late. So lateness wasn't even like in the question. As far as kids, like listening and stuff, they like, the kids, once we're talking, they're looking at us like they're not even looking nowhere like this. They're looking straight in our eyes, and they're gonna do exactly what we say. Versus here, we got little kids that kind of like want to listen when they want to. So it was a big difference when it came to, like, trying to get the kids to pay attention, and so yeah.
Did that bring back any memories? I'm guessing you took your fair share of camps when you were a kid. Were you one of those that would drift off, or were you always locked in? Either way is fine, so I'm not trying to single you out or highlight bad behavior, but I imagine being on the other side of it, it's probably a little amusing, because you were once their age doing all of that.
It's so hard, because I would say it depends on what we were doing. Like, if we were stretching, I'd be like, okay, I don't want to stretch. But if we were like doing stations like ball handling or shooting, or if we were doing layups, like, I was mixture. Like, I would listen when it depended on what we were doing. Like, if we were stretching, okay, I don't want to stretch. I don't want to stand here. But if we were doing stations, okay, oh yeah, we're doing shooting, we're doing ball handling. Okay, I like this. For soon as we get to like lunch, I'll be the last one late coming to the huddle. Like, cause I would be, we go eat, and then I used to eat a lot when I was a kid. Like, I'll ask for 2 or 3 plates, like, versus somebody that get one. Like, I was that eater. So I would say it depends on what we were doing. I always went to basketball practice, but I never went to a camp before. So I mentioned that. So I never went to actually like a basketball camp. I just all I did was just go to basketball practice, and that's I just start practicing. So never been to a camp before as a kid. So but in practice, I'll be that kid. I'll be go to the bathroom, come back late, or water, come back late. Yeah.
That's fascinating. I didn't know that about you. So I don't want to say you got to live out a part of your childhood that you never got to experience, but to get this opportunity now to help run camps. What do you think you took away from these camps with the Sanneh Foundation and in Germany that will help you move forward? You mentioned it has ignited an interest in running camps or coaching, maybe reffing, who knows, but what were some lessons that you learned getting to work with dozens, if not hundreds, of young basketball athletes who I imagine thought highly of you based on all the photos you sent me?
Being patient, when we do camps, you got to always be patient with the kids. I mean, regardless of because you never know where a kid is coming from. Like, you don't know if they're going back home to love. You don't know if their home situation is the greatest. You never know. So it taught me a lot of patience. Even though I would say the first few weeks I was like, okay, I don't know how I'm gonna deal with this, but it got better through time. I would say really being patient, because patience, I would say, for sure.
And how would you say raising a little sister like Layla over there? She's enjoying some other entertainment, but how do you think that helped prepare you? Because now you have to deal with not just one, but several clones of folks around Layla's age, maybe a little older or younger. So did that help as far as patience, or
actually,
not really?
Layla came with me to a lot of the camps. She was based. She went to a program named Summer Splash. It was part of the Sanneh Foundation. She went to basketball camps. I see her in me. Like, she liked the way she shoot, dribble the way she dribbles. So, I saw myself in her.
So in about 10, 15 years, Layla's going to be going to Sweden, isn't she?
Yeah, Sweden or WNBA. Yeah.
It sounds like you still have hopes maybe of following a criminal justice or law enforcement career, but it sounds like this experience, Germany and the Sanneh camps, might open another door for you. What would you say has changed? What has stayed the same? And what do you make of these options that you have in front of you?
What changed really was like just opening my like, I saw the game in a different way when I was reffing, and also when I was doing camps. Because I mean, for example, reffing, like I saw the game in different angles, and like, watching kids play. I mean, it was like maybe open up like my eyes on like how these kids are like. The generation is different, but it helped me realize, look at the game differently in different angles. Like, okay, for example, if I get fouled, if I fall and I get hit, hacked and I fall down, was that really a foul? Was that really, and it's different ways when you look at when you play, when you ref. So it was just looking at the angles where the foul was, or how, hands on people and stuff. So it helped me look at different ways of the game, really. Also the camps too. We realized, like, this is our generation. We are teaching what we know, teaching what, different ways to be successful at basketball. Some kids think you have to score all the time to be the best, and it's not true. You could be the best defensive player and be the best player. So it was different ways I saw the game. Like, yes, you can, for example, you could go down, you can score 2 points and have 20 rebounds. That's still a good game in my eyes. Like, stuff like that. Like, kids don't realize that nowadays. Like, nowadays it's more, I have to get 30 points a game to get a scholarship. That's not true. Or I have to score 40, 30 points to get drafted. Now that I'm still a question about, because I don't think that's the case, because there's a lot of kids or people, kids that grew up and thought that, but then they realized, okay, you have to be, your character matters, your attitude matters. You have to work hard. Like if you could be the best player in the world and average as many points and rebounds all you want each game, but if they see you have a terrible attitude and terrible character, they're not even gonna deal with you. Like one of these kids, one of the kids down in Germany, forgot his name, but terrible attitude, but he was the best kid I've almost saw play, but it in from his age group. And I was telling him, I said, you realize like your game is good, but your character and your attitude is where is going to determine your altitude. And he was like, really? I said, yeah, because it doesn't matter how good you are at basketball. It matters, but if your character, your attitude is not where it should be, nobody's going to want to sign you. Nobody's going to want to put you on their team.
Right.
So,
coaches are looking for that.
Yeah.
They don't
and
just look at the player.
It's very high today. Yeah.
Right.
Society.
Coaches are looking at everything, your body language. It's not just what you can do on the floor.
Yeah.
I've heard some will even watch to see what family members do too, because they know when you recruit somebody, you're also kind of recruiting a family.
Yeah.
But that's a bit of a tangent. And you actually touched on something, a smooth segue, but that's been your game for a long time.
Yeah.
You're one of the smoothest players I know. But what were some interactions with the kids you got to work with, whether it was here or Germany or both? What were some moments that really stuck with you? It sounds like you had one where you had a chance to let someone know, hey, your skills are fantastic, but you got to bring a positive attitude as well, because that's going to determine how far you go in this sport. What were some other interactions, conversations, just moments that you won't forget, having a chance to connect with so many future athletes out there?
Most of the time, the kids were actually, like listened, asked questions they need to. They didn't. I haven't had any kid or anybody that like was made problems like where we couldn't continue. It was just a few times. You're not gonna always have a group of kids that are always gonna pay attention all the time, but it was never any kid that was like, oh, we can handle, or we got but it was everybody. All the kids were good kids. They asked great questions. They asked about God and how it's basketball. If it weren't for basketball, what would I be doing? Why does God allow this? I mean, it was different questions that they were asking, and it really had me realize, like, wow, like these kids are actually trusting us to answer these questions, and just be around them, like totally strangers, don't even know us, and they just came and just trusted who we were. So it was. I wouldn't say there was the moment, only beside the kid that said had attitude because he wanted to just play 5-on-5 without learning the basics first, but I would say it was all the kids that actually brought something to the table. Rather, if he was one kid that didn't have any skill set, like wasn't the most athletic, or something, or one kid that just straight dominated everybody but didn't have the greatest attitude. So it was a mixture of kids. But I did have to point out one kid that I just said, okay, it's obvious that you're thinking of yourself when it comes to playing 5-on-5. You can't do that because a lot of players will want to play with you, or I told him, I kind of probably went too high with him, like saying, once you make it to the pros, I didn't break it down. Like once you get to high school, when you get to college, they are looking at everything. Like, I mean, your social media is big. Like just, it's so, I was telling these kids, it's so, some of these kids have a Twitter, have a Facebook, like it overseas. I was shocked to see that. I just didn't know that they even was thought about Facebook or Twitter. But I was telling them, I said, they're looking at what you retweet, what you could be mad one day and be like, I'm pissed or mad, and then they look at that and you can see, oh, he's not a good player. He's not a good character. His character is not good, or attitude. So I said, be careful what you say and how you perform, because you don't know who's watching. You never know. And I mean, so I was telling everybody that, like, not just one kid, but that one kid, but I told every kid, like, your attitude, character, and your social media is number one, because they could talk to you all day and know all about you, but your social media, your character is going to define who they think you are. So
there are a couple more paths I wanted to explore with you. For you, on a personal level, it sounds like this summer has been one of patience, where you've learned a lot of it, and I'm sure you already have plenty of experience being a high school and college athlete and having to navigate all of the highs and lows that come with it. But from waiting to get this offer, to get this opportunity to play in Sweden as others were starting to lock in contracts, and then having to work with kids from different age groups, different backgrounds. Like you said, they all come from different places in life, and whatever that is, they're here and you're there to mentor them and provide a beacon of positivity and hope and all of that. So as you reflect on this summer where you had to do a lot of things, you were engaged a lot. How do you think you've grown as a person, in particular with the understanding of patience, having to write out this uncertainty before you got this contract to play in Sweden, and then having to work with kids you've never met before?
My mind was focusing on day by day. Like, it helped me. I was shocked that I lasted this long because, again, I did agree on staying home for the summer. Me and my agent was like, yeah, I mentioned it to him first. I said, okay, I'm gonna stay home for the summer. Then he said, I agree to that because you give your body a rest. You don't want to just, go place by place with summer to straight to Europe, and that's a lot on your body. So we both agreed for me to stay home for summer, work out, do what you want to do, stay busy. He even advised me to stay busy with my mind and do something that's going to keep your mind not just focused on overseas, but now just focus on day by day and getting your body rested. So it was really just, it helped me. That's why I didn't start panicking much until all the way through April, all the way through May. In June, maybe started end of June, that's when I started realizing, okay, teams are starting to, I was shocked that I didn't get like a lot of like DMs, or like I usually got my first year, like DMs or WhatsApp app messages, like nothing. So I thought, I was like, okay, something's weird going on. But this was towards the end of June. That's why I'm like, okay, wait a minute. It's not my agent. I don't think he's a problem. Only thing he can do is send my profile out and send it to teams, and that's all he could do and negotiate and say all this stuff. Talk to these teams like I'm Jordan or whatever. It does not mean they're gonna sign me. So it was hard to kind of like it was uncertainty, but it's also patience too. Had a lot of uncertainty and a lot of patience going with that, because I realized, okay, you don't know what's going on. You won't probably ever know what's going on. So just be patient and realize like your time is coming. Even though you agree to stay home for the summer, but your time is coming regardless of when you get signed or not. Because a lot of players get signed by December. So I could have been home a long time. Like it's different factors of why I wasn't signed, I wasn't this, or wasn't that. So, and I never want to even think about why I wasn't, or why the only offer I had was this. But it depends on, teams and what they expect. And it could be just teams are just not looking for a type player like me, or they were just looking for a guard instead, or they were looking for, so it was different reasons probably why. So, but I'm happy that I knew I was going to play somewhere. I just didn't know when or where. So, yeah. But in my mind, I stayed focused on, okay, you agreed to stay home for summer, but you also agreed to work with Crystal for the summer with basketball and also in reffing. So I didn't start thinking about panicking till the end of June. And that's, I was like, okay, these teams should be at least saying something. Somebody should be at least trying to be like, oh, do you want to play in Portugal or whatever? But that was just, I thought that was the only odd part about it. Like, nobody reaching out, nobody was saying anything beside, usually during the summer, teams don't talk to you all summer, but at least somebody would have been trying to reach out by now. So, but I'm happy to sign where I did. So,
I have one theory as to why it took you so long. Scouts, teams, they probably saw all these interviews that we've done, and they're like, if we signed her, do we have to take him too? I think I might have scared off a few potential suitors, LaShayla.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't think.
So my apologies.
That's okay.
But if that hadn't worked out, I think you could take up another kickball career.
Oh, no. I was.
I heard you did quite well with your league team and got to connect with a few other mutual friends of ours who have welcomed you into the fold.
Yeah, so kickball was actually I was there when I wasn't. So, because I also was part of a YWCA team and with Tamara Moore. and she asked me to play. It started in June all the way through July, I believe. I can't remember the dates, but I was also a part of that too. So I stayed in shape. I stayed playing, and it was it was so many things. Kickball came into play. Like one day, I was on Facebook, and somebody said, do you guys want to play kickball? One of my good friends, Dontrea, she was in that league too, and she used to play for Urban Stars. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but Urban Stars, and she actually just put a post up, and she did, and a couple other people did. I said, oh, maybe kickball was my sister, Layana, and I'm like, well, maybe you want to join. So that's how I really got into kickball, was really through a Facebook message and a status of it, and I just said, okay, well, stay busy, do that, and I just went to Burlington and got some cleats and started playing. So, kickball was my team was actually we actually won the women's league and got a trophy for it. So it was good. It was good.
Is there a sport you can't take up?
I want to start doing hockey.
Well, your big sister played that for a while.
Yep.
And another element, another facet, you have addressed this a couple of times since we've done these interviews, these podcasts. It's how much your faith plays a part in you. So I'm wondering, LaShayla, do you have any verses or lines that stick with you when you go through moments where you were getting a little jittery about, okay, where am I going to go? Is anyone out there want to sign me for a team and all this other stuff? The podcast itself, I don't go full force into that because I try to highlight characteristics of everybody, but I know that plays a big part in your life. So what are some lines or verses or things that help put you at ease when you're going through these brushes with uncertainty?
Yeah, so I actually have a tattoo called All Things Through Christ Who Strengthens Me. So I go through that daily. I mean, because I also have a prayer book that the new release basketball sent me through. They actually mailed me a suitcase with basketball basketball prayers, everything, just prayers in general. So I read the Bible, but the script I go through by daily is all things through Christ that strengthens me. I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me. Philippians 4:13, I believe, in the Bible. So that's my main thing. Like, you could do anything. All you gotta do is stay focused and don't overwhelm your mind. I mean, that verse could say it's a lot of things. I mean, I stick by that. That verse is my favorite verse throughout the whole Bible. So, because I can do everything, nothing's impossible. Like, I mean, literally nothing. I could start flying tomorrow. That's possible, by the grace of God. I mean, literally, my mind is so like, it is basketball right now, but I also have a degree. I'm also still working on a degree online. So I'm doing a lot of things that, I mean, a lot of people probably would have been like, oh, I'm not doing that, you're crazy, but I'm actually like staying in front of the game. I got a lot of I do got a lot of, stuff I can, talk about, do. And so I got a lot of options, and I'm an open person. Like, I like being, one odd fact about me that a lot of people don't know is I love school. Like I love school. And I mean, I'll stay, in front of the game for a lot of, in front of the game, and also do school work on the side. So I love school. But that verse is,
I remember you telling me that when we last met in May, how much you love school, which is, hey, that's a big deal, and that's great if that's one of your interests, and it's gotten you to a lot of places already.
Yeah.
And we've done a lot of reflection about this summer and how it perhaps provided a path or a juncture. Could be many seeds planted from this. Who knows what the next 5 minutes, let alone 5 years, will bring. But looking ahead, whatever happens in Sweden and beyond, what are you looking forward to with the knowledge that you'll get another season to play professionally, something not a lot of athletes do in here or elsewhere, and gain all of this knowledge about yourself as an athlete, yourself as a camp instructor, mentor? What are you most excited about with all of the knowledge and moments and affirmations that whatever you're doing, you have found a way to make a difference out there in basketball?
I'm just like my number one thing is actually like winning a championship there. Winning a championship, seeing different parts of Sweden, playing with different, playing just a game I've been loving for so long and so deeply. What else? Knowing, finding more food from different places around Europe. Just so many things. Exploring the city, but main thing is there to play basketball. Like I'm gonna just, I'm ready. I'm excited. So pretty much everything. Winning a championship, being happy there, seeing the city, seeing the culture. I mean, meeting people, learning Sweden. So everything.
Swedish, you mean?
Swedish, yes, yeah.
I knew what you meant.
Yeah.
And then anything else you'd like to add about this wild, crazy, and eventful summer that has led to a new swath of opportunities for you?
I'm just grateful I stayed busy. I mean, this summer was like, I swear I want to say it's the best summer because I don't remember the past summers a little bit, only saying basketball. I think this was the best summer one of the best summers I ever had because not only I had the opportunity to do the camps with Crystal, I was reffing. I mean, just saying it for like, I mean, it was a life-changing experience because like just, I didn't, how would I explain it, but it was just wonderful. Like it was like, yes, I was like, the only negative part about it was uncertainty when I was going to play again, but that's the only thing. But other than that, I would say I love the summer. I did, there was some downfalls, like I'm tired, I won't do this, but I did it every day, help, around. I mean, help people and did what I could. So it was a blessing.
Well, I'll add this, LaShayla, as well. You've helped me learn a bit about patience, too, because you and I, we've tried to line up a lot of stuff, and sometimes things work out, other times. I've learned this from you and others. You go through different moods and feelings, and some days I think you're ready to get out there and dominate, conquer, as you did with kickball and the YWCA League and all of this. And there are other times going back to those days where in practice you were like the last one out, or how you didn't want to do stretches. So no two people are alike. But I'm glad we've been able to make this friendship work as long as we have. And I'm excited. Now, I can't say I'm fluent in Swedish, but I wouldn't mind calling a game or two. I'd have to get my passport first. So, there's that. But
I'm still learning. I'm still in the middle of learning like every place I've been to, like, I mean, Serbia, Germany, and now Sweden, so Swedish. So I'm gonna see if they actually have a Swedish fish there, or the candies, see if they have there. But I'm still learning. It's hard to learn almost 4 languages going on. I played places like this, but I'm learning day by day, trying to learn German, mainly German, because I love Germany. I would definitely go back there. I mean, yeah.
Well, I have a good friend of mine who is fluent in German, so if you need to brush up on it, I will get you in touch with her. She currently plays at Minnesota on the women's basketball team, so I think you and her speak the same language there, so I think you would hit it off. But I'll keep that in mind if you want to keep learning German, because I know somebody who can speak their tongue. But I'm glad we had a chance to follow up with you. It's not often that I get to do interviews with past guests like this, but considering everything you did, I don't know too many people who got to run camps in 2 countries, 2 different languages, and you even got a little TV time out of it, too.
Oh, yeah. It's the German local news. I have the link if you guys, want it, but I still have it. I have it, I know it's all in German because they told me, I said, can you guys put it in English? But the people that watch it, I know it's worldwide, but people like watch it that are really, so they told me it has to be in German because just for the sake of people, so you ain't got to worry about translating and stuff. So it's all in German, but I'm sure you guys can watch it, but it's gonna be all in German. So
maybe someone can go back and add English subtitles.
Right, that too. So
for those of us who do not speak German, and there are plenty, but always good having you, LaShayla, and who knows, maybe after Sweden, or maybe you run another camp. Maybe you get to run one or help run one in Sweden. Maybe we'll bring you back on for that.
My goal is to, when I come back for next summer, either play somewhere or do the Sanneh Foundation again with Crystal, or, with other sports. Because Sanneh Foundation they don't just do basketball. They do soccer. They do summer splash. They do basketball. So it's different sports inside Sanneh Foundation. So when next summer, if I don't play anywhere, if I choose not to again, I will do that again. Also continue to ref and then stay in front of the game. I mean, and then just do what I got to do. So, yeah.
Well, I have no doubt you will continue to do whatever it is that you do, and kickball sounds like that could be another option for you as well. Yeah. You've made a lot of connections and a lot of friendships, and the overarching theme, LaShayla, that I've learned is that people enjoy having you around as an athlete and as a mentor. So I think whether your future involves law enforcement, coaching, or whatever, I have a feeling your opportunities aren't going to run out just yet.
Oh, no. No.
Well, thanks again, LaShayla, and perhaps we'll do this again next year, maybe sooner, but you're always welcome to come back on whenever another big event in your life, or even smaller one. You always make for a good conversationalist, or make a good conversationalist, so as long as you're still interested, we'd be happy to have you again.
Yeah, thank you again, Mike, for having me.
And if you have a story you'd like to share once again, you can find us on social media at @TheMikePeden, because we're always looking for news stories to share, whether you're a familiar face or a new one. So until next time, thanks for watching Mic'd Up Sports. If you'd like to support TSP television programming, check us out on Patreon, PayPal, or Cash App. And thanks for watching Mic'd Up Sports.